Hello, guys. Welcome to episode 31 of the Empowered Hearts podcast. We are sorry we have missed a week.
It's okay for doing throwback episode.
Yes, but I'm going away tomorrow and I don't know, Crystal and my schedule, we just couldn't
Yeah.
get it together. So here we are missing a week, but maybe you could,
Meant
we
to be.
hmm?
Meant to be.
Meant to be.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about the ego versus the soul. What does
Yes.
that mean? How do you understand it? How do you hear the ego versus the soul? And then how to tell the ego to take a back seat, because it can be so loud and daunting. And I think Crystal has walked me through very many ego moments of like, what do I do? And she's like, Morgan, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
That's ego talking. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
I think the basis in the beginning is just to understand the ego,
Mhm.
to understand, okay, we are not a human body with a soul. We are a soul that uses a human body for this 3D experience.
Yeah.
Um, but the body, like, it makes everything so loud. We're just gonna clip that out. It makes everything so loud because it becomes our experience, right? Like what we taste, what we feel, what we smell, what we touch, what we see.
Yeah.
Everything is so loud. And the ego is part of this experience. It's like our built-in computer system. And it has been saving information from the moment that we've been birthed onto this earth and learning things, and it just like stores it like a library.
Yeah.
And then when we come up against a situation, then it goes to work and it goes into its files and it analyzes the situation kind of like a risk assessment. and
Yes.
then it becomes like, no, you can't do that, or you should be scared of this because this is what I remember about this situation. And it's I mean, you can't escape it.
Oh, the ego, how I see the ego, how I understand it is, and okay, let me preface this with saying somebody, a mentor of mine one time told me that I think one of her mentors told her that ego stands for earth guide only,
Yeah.
is literally what it's for. It guides you around this earth to keep you safe,
Mm-hmm.
period, and that's all it's good for. It's not good for helping
Yeah.
you achieve your dreams. It's not good for, helping you think outside the box, helping you take risks, helping you try new things, because literally its job is to make sure you don't die.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's like a risk assessment. It's like, ooh, it's like running and going and going and going. And it's like people are like, I talked to a friend and and I was like, you're very like, what's going on today? And there's like a lot of energy. And I'm like, this is the ego trying to plan for tomorrow and the next day and the next day. It's just like, be here now in this moment.
Yeah.
In being in the moment, the ego often doesn't have like its job is to, like you said, risk assessment. So if you're not paying attention, it will grab the reins and be like telling you what you should be doing tomorrow, right now. It will tell you how you were a piece of shit yesterday,
Yep.
how, in 10 minutes, if you don't do this, that you're a piece of garbage. Like it will run rampant and you will be sort of like secondary to the ego
Yeah.
if you're not careful. And
Yeah.
that's why meditation is so important, to
Mm-hmm.
help separate the ego and who you really are. Because people don't realize we are not our ego. We are not our mind. We are not even our subconscious mind.
Yep.
Is a program that is, like you said, that is built in, and we have to actively work on it to dismantle it.
That's why meditation is so important, because in the beginning, when you first start meditating, you're probably going to be like, holy shit, I can't shut my mind off.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you first start, and that's why a lot of people can feel resistant towards meditation, because there's this idea that you have to completely still your mind. Yes, the more that you get into meditation and the more that you master your mind, that is possible.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also just an awareness. What
Yeah.
is flowing through my mind right now?
A lot of, yeah, like a lot of people think like we need to meditate, and when we meditate, our mind is quiet.
Yeah.
No.
No.
The point of meditation is to attempt to quiet the mind.
Yep.
But if all you're doing is witnessing that you think a lot, that's okay too.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no proper way to meditate. It literally is sitting and breathing, not doing anything, and realizing that you have 8,000 million thoughts going on every moment of every day. And if you are not paying attention to that, it controls you.
I think I heard a statistic recently that said we have 70,000 thoughts a day.
And a lot, and they're like repetitive. They're
Yeah.
the same thoughts. Like I
Yeah.
think there's like a span of like, it's not a lot. I'm gonna say 20. And that is, I think I'm stretching it. It is like a maximum, I think, of 20 thoughts, and they loop all day long,
Mhm.
all day long. Like,
Mhm.
what should I do about this? What should I do about this? I need to eat. I need to go to the gym. What should I do about this? It's like, and this, what should I do about this is normally the same topic. Like, it's not a different topic.
That's what your mind does though. And this is a good way to tell if it's ego. Is ego
Yes.
asks
Hmm.
questions. Ego likes to ask questions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's that's how it works. Or it
Wow.
it'll say, I should be. I should be doing this. I shouldn't be laying here on the couch. I should be doing this because your ego has taught you, or you have taught your ego, let's say that in order to be productive, you need to be doing. So a lot of people have a hard time accepting rest and not feeling guilt or shame about it because they have programmed their ego to say, if I'm in stillness, I'm not accomplishing anything.
Yeah.
And
And
so
yeah,
that's a example.
I've never thought of it. I've actually never heard that before about the questions. That is so genius.
Yep.
And it like that like makes me feel relieved. I'm like, oh, okay, like that's just my crazy ego talking.
Yeah.
Of because I often will have the, well, how is this going to happen in this and this? And I've messaged you many times being like, Crystal, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, Morgan, this is your ego. Like, stop.
Yeah.
Like, and Crystal has a really good practice for this. She will say, um, ask yourself out loud, am I present?
Yeah.
And just by asking that question to yourself, it forces you to like be like, oh no. And then it trails off again. And you're like, am I present? Am I
Yeah.
present? Over and over and over again until you're like, yes, I am present.
One thing that happens is most people wake up and spring out of bed and they let their mind go on autopilot.
Yeah.
It's instant. I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. There is no control. So then when you haven't set an intention and you allow your mind to run on autopilot, then it also allows your emotions to run on autopilot.
Mm.
Because thoughts are the beginning.
Wow.
Your thoughts are the beginning. That's the beginning point of everything. Whatever thoughts you're thinking set forth an energy which starts to build emotion in your body. So if you start off feeling overwhelmed, I have so much on my plate, there's so much to do, then your emotions are going to start to play out and you're going to feel overwhelmed too. Right? And so the more awareness that we can have when it comes to our mind and what we are actually thinking about, the more that we understand that we actually do have control to choose our thoughts, just like the I am present practice,
mm-hmm.
the more that we can slow the train down. So if we have a train running 100 miles an hour, like you literally can't just hit the brakes on it. You have to slow the momentum. And the I am present practice helps slow the momentum to the point where you can get to a somewhat neutral state.
Mhm.
And then you can like kind of start fresh and choose over and be like, okay, I don't want to feel overwhelmed.
Mhm.
I don't want to be worried. I don't want to feel anxious. Let me slow my train down. Now, how do I want to go forward here?
I feel like that is the moment
Yeah.
before, like, when it's a good idea to ask yourself, am I present? That's
Mhm.
when people pick up substances, because it's like, this is too much. My
Yeah.
mind, like, shut up. And
Yeah.
so we numb to just like make it stop.
Yeah.
Because like,
So,
because I don't use substances anymore, I'm like doing my best to relate. Like, that would be it. Like, that would be that moment, because now I'm like, oh my God, there's so much going on. And
yeah.
people could be like, have a drink. Like, no, like that's like, that doesn't even actually stop it. It just makes you think it's not there, but it
Do,
is still going.
do you know what I find, Morgan, now that I've been like basically sober for the last 3 years? And I say basically because sometimes I still have a little bit of wine. I find that alcohol, I'm only speaking in general, amplifies whatever you're feeling.
Yes. Yes, but you're not, I don't think people are conscious of that.
No,
You
that's
know?
what I learned though. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if I okay, let's for example, if I'm feeling overwhelmed
Mhm.
and I have a glass of alcohol because I think it's going to calm me down, it actually does the opposite for me. It's like a temporary fix where it's like, okay, yeah, I feel, I feel good. And then it wears off and
Yeah.
the ego
Oh, yeah.
just explodes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. After it wears off, it's
Yeah.
like, I literally, like, I hate alcohol.
Yeah.
I like, it makes me feel, so because I have, so I don't know if I've shared this on here before, but I have a symptom from my complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which I'm learning like this symptom actually causes PTSD. It's like I'm trying to figure this out, but anyways, a part of my soul, I think, in this is what I'm learning, has fragmented during trauma when I was younger, and it's caused me to feel dissociated since I was 14. So I feel like I'm not really here, like everything's kind of foggy. And if you're listening and you experience this, this is a normal fight flight, it's a flight response to trauma. Our bodies do this normally, but when it gets like this kind of permanently, it's due to your soul kind of like being like, this was too much for me, and like broke off.
Mhm.
And so because I have this feeling, this is actually why I used originally, was like this, I feel so uncomfortable in my body. There's so much trauma, so much weird, like it's just this weirdness, the way my perception is, that I started to use. But now if I have a drink, it like amplifies. I'm like, oh my God, where am I? What is going on? Like, I have like, feel like I do not have any sense of um like where I am in time and
Yeah.
space. I don't like it. Like,
It makes you feel floaty, doesn't it?
yes, really
Yes.
floaty. And I'm like over here and I'm like, oh, I'm like, it's like makes me so ungrounded.
I could not agree more.
I don't know. And because we're so tuned in to
Yeah.
every hair that breathes or moves in the wind, like yesterday I was sitting in the forest and I had a tick on me and I could feel it. A
Yeah.
tick. Like, they are the size of like a, I don't even
That's
know.
BC.
They're
Yeah.
like the size of a small freckle, barely. I could feel it, because we're so tuned in to everything, because we are sensitive beings and we meditate and we practice, the feeling of alcohol will feel amplified to us.
Yeah.
To any sensitive person listening, you know,
That's what I've learned. And you know what? I've only learned it, and maybe you can relate from being sober and from like having
like,
that clear
yes,
channel, like feeling your own energy fully and learning like what your home frequency is. That's what I would say. That when I have a little bit, I can notice right away that it like pulls me off that center.
Yeah, I'm like over here. I'd
Yeah.
say it's like to the right
Yeah.
somehow.
Pulls me off.
Yeah. Yes, I think it is from being sober as well. Like, yeah, you really do like get understanding what your energy feels like.
And then again, like when it comes to the ego, like you don't want that running more rampant than it does normally. So it's like, I'm not gonna have a drink, you know?
You know, I notice this when I'm sleeping, believe it or not. So I'll like kind of lucid, I don't know if that's the word. Not lucid dream, but like I'm like sleeping and then I kind of wake up and I'm aware that I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
I can hear my mind going it's like it's like has all these stories and all these things. It's like, and we're gonna do this, and this person did this, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, can you like, I thought
Shut.
we're sleeping. So like that ego is going all the bloody time. And if you have never meditated and understood it, you don't even know. You are like part of it.
Yeah. Well,
That's,
you think that's who you are, but it's not.
yeah, no,
It is not who you are.
no,
And
it's,
that this brings us back to now the soul,
yeah.
right? The soul experience. The more that you quiet your ego, the more that you start to feel the soul.
It's
You,
always there.
yeah,
It's just, where are you tapped in? Are you
yeah.
tapped into fear? Because remember, like the ego represents fear. The soul, I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday. The soul represents truth. But what does that mean? Like that's kind of a
Yeah.
vague, that's like spiritual lingo. So let's break that down. So if we understand now the ego represents fear, it's trying to keep you safe on the earth, et cetera, et cetera.
It
What?
also sets, let's just say this quickly about the ego. It sets limitations.
Mhm.
It shadows your spirit. It'll like dampen you down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then how would we explain the soul? Because like it does mean truth, but like that's spiritual jargon. So what does truth mean? I would say it represents possibility.
I was
It
gonna say,
represents, yeah, it represents choice,
yeah.
represents
Freedom,
freedom.
peace, love.
You know the feeling of like when you go on vacation and you're like, oh, I can be here now. That's what the soul feels like.
Yeah.
When you're in your soul's energy, which you always are, but okay, let me rephrase that. When you're able to separate the ego and hear the soul, it's gonna feel like you're on vacation.
That's why I say like the ego is like a listening. It's like a you can hear the ego not through your ears, but like you can hear
I,
it talking.
yeah.
Soul is a feeling.
Yes.
It's a feeling,
Yes.
right? Like that is the difference between the two.
Mhm.
That's what I feel.
Yeah, and the ego, like we said before, will speak to you, like you said, in questions, but it'll also be like in very long sentences, like, well, yeah, I guess questions like that. I've never really put it that way.
Mhm.
Well, maybe we should do this. Well, perhaps we should do this. Like it's always trying to figure it out. The
Yeah.
soul will just be like, no, you know?
The
Yeah.
soul just knows. The soul just knows. Like there's never a question. It's just like you are whole. You are loved. You are abundant. You are healed. You let's go this way. That's what the soul feels. Oh, like my heart is calling me to go on a vacation. And the ego's like, oh no, we can't do that. We can't do that. How are you gonna do
Yes,
that? How are you gonna pay for that? And it's like you
that's
can
so good.
you can feel that you're being pulled to go to the beach, to the ocean, like you've been dreaming about it, you've been thinking about it, and then your mind just like cuts you off.
It's like, no,
Yeah.
we can't do that. Well, how are you going to pay for that? Well, you have a job, you know. Well, how are you going to tell your boss? And it's like this fast, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, shut up for a sec.
So
And
it's like when we say follow your heart, that is your soul path.
yeah.
You're meant to go on that vacation because guess what? Maybe on that vacation, you meet somebody that's like, hey, do you want this incredible job where you make like $30,000 more?
Mhm.
Like there's opportunity there.
Expansion,
Benching.
opportunity.
Yeah.
I feel like the word live comes through when I think about the soul, the heart, um, joy. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, it's not logical for
No.
sure. It's not logical. You're like, well, how am I gonna do that? How, how, like, okay, soul. It's like, let's go start a soul-led business. And then you, which is like kind of in between of the ego and the heart, is like,
You can't quit your job. You can't
okay,
you 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 can't do what you love and make money. You can't make you can, that's what the ego does. You can't
yeah.
quit your job and go back to school at 35.
It's so weird. There's like these different parts to who we are. There's like the soul, then there's kind of like us,
The
and then
human.
there's the ego. And we are kind of like getting taken along on the ride.
Yeah.
It's like these different angles. It's like the ego being like, blah, 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 blah. Then the soul being like, but do this. And we're like, help. What do I do? You know, we're like caught in the middle of like frantic Fran, who's the ego, and confident Cindy, who's like, we got this.
Come this way. You're safe.
Yeah.
Your ego's like, I'm not safe. I'm freaking out.
And
Now
you're
I'm all
like,
stressed.
somebody tell me what to do.
And then your human reacts to the ego in such a loud way because this is where the emotions come in. And this is what I was talking about before. Like we pour so much energy to our 3D reality because that to us is real. But there's so much more than that. That is just like this big compared to like the huge picture. But it's because we have senses. And so it becomes so loud in our experience.
Hmm.
So it's like, this is what's real. And the ego wants to stay here in this bubble. And the soul's like, you can't stay here. You came to Earth to expand, to learn lessons, to grow. You got to step out of this bubble. You
Mhm.
got to follow your heart, follow your soul led business. It's going to work out. You're going to be fine.
It's kind of cruel. It's like the
Yeah.
soul's like, everything's fine, doesn't understand that we have a human experience here. And we're like, help. Like I said, it's just like, that's kind of not fun. But you know, I would say to follow the heart and the soul is to trust.
Yeah.
And it, you know, after you do it a few times, after you like choose to listen to what the soul's saying and commit to it, you kind of feel like you're on like an Easter egg hunt all the time. You're like, okay, well, what's going to happen today? Like,
Yeah.
you know, because you don't have the logical planning part dictating how you're going to live. You're kind of just like, ooh, well, what Easter eggs will I find today? Or
So true.
what golden nugget will I land on? And I find that if you are living in the ego, you miss out on those golden nuggets. You probably wouldn't even recognize them as being miracles, right?
Mhm.
It would be like, what would be an example of this? So if you're living in your ego and and then an opportunity came your way, like you said, like you went on vacation. So let's say you meet somebody at a coffee shop and you're in your ego and they're hey, would you like to be interviewed on my podcast? Or would you like to be something like an invitation?
Yep.
If you're living in your ego, you might be like, I don't have time for that. If you're living in your soul, if you're following your soul and it's like your soul's calling says, have a soul-led business. And then somebody came up to you and was like, would you like to be on my podcast? You'll be like, oh my God, like
Yeah.
this is a beautiful opportunity. But if you were living in your ego, you'd be like, I don't have time for that. And you would dismiss it completely, never think of it again.
Yeah.
And so
Who is this creep? And like, what do they want? And like, what
ah,
is, yeah, yeah,
rather than looking at it as opportunity, we would see the same experience as meh, creep,
yeah,
like whatever,
yeah.
right? It's not this like, oh my God, look at this amazing opportunity. And people can often say, well, look at all the amazing thing that's happened to this person. I don't think it's that. I think it's that one chooses to see where opportunity is, and by following your heart, you naturally have a different perspective on life and you see things as opportunity rather than as I don't have time for that.
And the opportunities come to you.
This is like literally the quantum field, which is like a whole other story. And I'm not like well versed in this to like talk about it too much, but everything is happening all at once.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you're living in your heart and somebody approaches you about a podcast, you see opportunity. If you're living in your ego and somebody approaches you, you dismiss it. The same thing happened, just like it's just like what you focus on, you will attract into your life. And it's literally always happening. You just have to like tune your brain, tune your heart to see it.
Yeah. To
So it's
stay.
like a backward it's like really hard for people are like, what? Like I think it's taken me years to be like, I get it.
Yeah. The other phrase that comes to mind is we don't chase, we attract. Like we don't have to go out and get it.
No, it's already
Constantly
here, but it's
being
like, I know this is so weird to say it's already here, but then people are like, well, where is it? And it's like, well, it might not be here in this moment, but you just have to like tune your perspective to see opportunity aligned with your soul. And this is a practice. This isn't
yeah.
something like you're like, well, okay, I'm following my soul. Where's all the gold? It
Yeah.
doesn't work like that. It's a practice over and over and over again to listen to the whispers of life, to the whispers of the soul and the heart. But as you do it more and more, the louder it gets. You're like, whoa, like that. Like the day I asked to see a white dove, I'm like, just show me a white dove. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to see a white dove. There's no way. And I was watching a video that same day
Yeah.
and a white dove came on and I was like, is this a joke?
Yeah.
Like, of course.
Yeah. And it's with everything. It's with everything. Everything's like that. But you can't find something that you're searching for. If you believe that it's out there and you need to go find it, you're not going to find it. You can't find something that you're searching for. As soon as you let go and you're like, okay, I'm open to opportunity.
Mhm.
The opportunities come to you and they're presented to you. And
Mhm.
it's not like you have to put yourself in situations where like you got to be in town every day waiting for this opportunity. Like you can be in your house and the opportunity comes. Like it's meant to be aligned on your path, your natural path. But like learning to follow the soul is where the blind faith comes in.
Yes.
Right? Like you feel the pull. It feels edgy. It feels a little uncomfortable because you don't know what is like to expect at all. But that is also a part of the ego. The ego wants to know. The ego wants to have all the answers before the human takes a step. And the soul is like, just take the step, and I'm going to put the stepping stone right there for you.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's such a strange.
It's a very strange experience.
Yeah. So let's just share, how do we get control of the ego?
Well, meditation for one,
It's a good way to start.
like just being able to decipher who's speaking,
Yeah.
controlling you in the moment, the ego or the soul. Well, the soul doesn't control, it leads. So
Yeah.
it's like it, I think it's just like letting the ego take a back seat.
Mhm.
And how to get it to fuck off is by understanding what it's saying, that it's saying, like that it is speaking right now. You know, if you're not in the present, if you're in the present, nine times not like you, the ego's not here. Like it is, but it's taken a back seat.
So quiet.
so quiet. You have to be here now. Like, this is the whole thing about tomorrow, about traveling. I'm like, I am not worrying about traveling right now
No,
because it's not happening right now. It's like right now I'm recording a podcast. I am not going to worry about traveling. Like my dad and my friend are all in my business 9 o'clock this morning. Like, well, have you checked in? I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. I have 24 hours to check in. Like knowing that where the ego is at
Mhm.
and who, like if you're in a complete fear response, okay, just become present. I don't know. That's maybe I'm not articulating this well, but that is it. Just be present. And if you notice your mind start to wander or go on some story about like how this is never going to work out in doomsday, that's your ego speaking.
Yeah. Also, the ego wants to plan. So
Yes.
if it's like a control,
Mhm.
it wants to take control. But I find that I don't like plans, like at all.
It makes me nervous.
I used to be the control freak that planned everything. And then when something didn't go right, I would like have a big panic attack. It was like this way to feel safe, and that's what the ego wants you to feel safe, but it like limits you to the point where there's no breathing room. It's like suffocating.
Yeah. It actually it makes me like it's like this fine line between yes, it keeps me safe and it's causing me so much anxiety that I feel actually less safe.
Yeah.
It's a really fine line between like, I understand plans will give me the security to know that I'm safe for the future and blah, 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 blah. But it's like a paradox. It's like, but having all those plans causes me stress.
Yeah.
So that's not fun. That's not where I want to live. So yes, planning and having security is safe. And also paradoxically, it causes me stress. So, which makes me feel not safe. So it's like, I choose to live in my heart as
Yeah.
much as I can, as much as I can remember to be like, we are here now on a walk. We are here now at the gym. We are here now on the podcast. We are here now. What's in your control right now? Speaking on the podcast, perfect. We're going to do that.
Couple practices that I like to do um, is, well, the I am present is a really good one.
Yeah.
Speaking out loud is amazing because you can't think and speak two different things. So if you want to neutralize your energy, you feel like your ego's kind of on a freight train and you can't get this thing off your mind,
Mhm.
go to a neutral space where you can just start narrating what you see in the room that you're sitting in. Just start talking about it out loud.
I'm sitting on the white couch with my
Yeah,
grounding mat and I have my dishes here. Yeah.
exactly. And you just keep doing it for as long as you possibly can. It only takes 90 seconds to shift your energy, but the stronger something is moving in your energy when it comes to like worry, doubt, fear, obsessing about something, the longer it takes for you to neutralize that energy. So talking out loud is a good one. I really love singing. Like I'll turn music on and sing. That's a really great practice too. I
Even,
find.
even listening to music.
Yes. Yeah.
But I mean, there are also times when you can be listening to music and your mind is like blah 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 blah, blah, like having all of the plans in the world. This happens to me at the gym. I'll be listening to music and it'll be like, well, and tomorrow we're gonna do this workout and next we can plan. And I'm like, okay, we're planning this thing and I'm writing all these things down and I'm like, Morgan, we're at the gym now to exercise, not plan out tomorrow's exercise. Like we are
Yeah.
here now.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then I'm like, shut up. And I take a deep breath and I'm like, focus.
When I notice it the most is when I'm in nature and I'm like going for a walk
Yeah,
when
yeah,
it's
yeah.
that's when I can really hear what's going on.
I think it's because your surroundings are quiet, which is
Yeah.
like meditation. Yeah. So yesterday I was on my walk and my mind was just going and it was like, because I found a new trail, which I love. And then it was like, well, we don't know where we're going. We should look at the map. And I was like, okay, what do you have to do today? This is like me talking to my ego. What do you have to do today? Well, nothing, not till 8 o'clock at night. And this is like 11 a.m. And I'm like, okay. So if we get lost for 7 hours, we'll still be home. You might be a little tired, but and I was like, okay. And so I had to like bargain with it to shut it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Finally, you have to bargain with it.
Make yourself feel safe. No, I just don't let her take up room. I'm just like, no, we're not doing this. Which is just, no, we're not doing this. Is it serving you? No. So that's enough. Like, no. And I still notice like old stuff will surface.
Yep.
I'll be like doing something and I'll get like a money scarcity thought. And I'm like, this is not who you are.
Right.
Let's just dismiss it. And one thing that I've learned recently is if we notice our thoughts like passing clouds, like we did if we were like sitting outside, we were watching the clouds passing, like we're not becoming the emotion of the cloud. We're not like, oh, that cloud is that, you know what I mean? Like we're just noticing. If we can notice our thoughts like that, they don't have a lot of effect on our energy.
No, I know. But if you get hung up on one, it's like I instantly feel a pull and like,
Yeah.
ooh, my
Yeah.
heart is like pulled into being scared and everything's going to be terrible and I may as well just die. It's like this big doomsday story and it like happens so quick.
Mm-hmm. It does. And that's why awareness, like just self-awareness, learning more about you, what is in your energy, like what kinds of things do you have on your mind
Mhm.
that is just like
Yeah,
too
like,
much.
sorry.
Yeah.
I think if you, those things that are on your mind, like, can you clean any of them up? Is
Yes.
there anything you could do about it? Or are you just thinking for the sake of driving yourself crazy? Like, is there any action? Because I'll find if I procrastinate, my ego gets loud. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe if I did one of the things and like stopped procrastinating, like it's like we torture ourselves too.
Yeah, we do.
And that's just a fine line. Like everyone's different. Well, like we're not all the same with the ego for the like it, it varies with people, but it's
Mhm.
pretty much one thing of that just tells you it's a controller, like you said. Like it's just
It just wants the answers. And sometimes we're not meant to know the answers. If we were meant to know it, we would know it. And so we can just quiet the ego by saying the answer will come. The answer will come right now. We don't know, and that's okay. We're still safe.
Mhm. Yep.
You know, we're not gonna die because we don't know
Yes.
what we're doing tomorrow night. Like it's
That's
okay.
that's it. Is
Yeah.
like reminding your ego that we're not gonna die because
Yeah.
it thinks every second that you don't know something that you're gonna die.
It's like Inside Out the movie. Have you seen that movie?
Oh,
Morgan, get
okay.
plus. Okay.
I
Get this.
have.
Okay. Watch Inside Out.
Okay.
It is amazing. But there's like the different personalities of the girl, and they're like these little characters, and the ego reminds me of Worry, the character Worry.
Okay.
That is ego right there.
Okay.
And Joy is soul.
Yeah.
You got to watch a movie. It's so good.
I'll watch it today.
Yes.
And then my ego while I'm watching is to be like, you should be cooking. You should be packing. You should be doing anything but what you're doing right now. You're a piece of garbage.
You should be checking in.
Oh my God. Like,
Ah,
well, I think this wraps this up. Do you have anything else you want to share about this?
no. No, I feel complete. But I will ask you, what does it mean for you today to have an empowered heart?
Blind faith.
Mm,
Like,
yeah.
I'm really in that of just like trusting, like we shared on this episode, just trusting what is meant to happen for me will, and that I'm going to be safe no matter what.
Beautiful.
Yeah. What about you?
I've really been looking at my life and thinking, like, how magical is this life? I've really been feeling amplified with gratitude for everything that I have, and like accepting that if nothing changed,
Mhm.
I would love my life.
Mhm. Same.
Yeah, like I just feel so grateful.
Yeah.
And to me, that's empowering because there was such a long time when it was like I needed to reach for something more.
Mhm.
I needed to get here. I needed to get here. And now I'm just like I'm here and this is beautiful.
Yeah, we didn't say this today, but we've said this before, but let's just share it again. Gratitude is another really positive practice. So if you sit down and like write what you're grateful for, even just sit with yourself and like narrate it in your mind or say it out loud, it's a really good way to get into your heart and
Yeah.
to be with your soul and to get in the present moment.
Yep.
That's a really, and I love gratitude practice. Like it just, you're just like, wow, like the ego again wants for so much.
Yeah.
We're all, and if we're all here with these rampant egos, it's like, if you're not a billionaire, you're a piece of garbage,
Yeah.
and then I'm sure once you're at that level, there's other things.
Yeah.
And so it's like, wow, but like, what about what I do have? And we're so easy to dismiss it. And it's
That's a
like,
really good point because the ego sees lack where the soul sees abundance.
yeah,
It's like your life is always abundant.
mhm,
Doesn't matter who it is on this earth, everyone has something to be grateful for.
yep.
And it's like, are we looking at the cup half full or half empty?
Half empty is ego, half full
Yeah,
is full every
yeah,
single time.
yeah, exactly. So it's just such a beautiful thing to learn more about the soul and let the soul guide you through life because then it always feels fulfilling.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I love this.
me too. That was beautiful.
Okay, guys. Well, we will see you next week. And yeah, if you enjoyed this episode, if you could rate us on Spotify or Apple, what is it called? Apple,
Podcast.
it's just Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
Okay. Or Apple Podcasts or on YouTube. We would greatly appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.